Hello, Mother.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. You're in good spirits today, as you said, so that's cool.
I am in good spirits. I'm just...
Good spirits?
I'm just really sore. Like, my calves are killing me. We've been hiking around like crazy because I was told that my lungs are fine. They just need to be exercised like a muscle again. And so, I work out. I just don't do... My workouts are not taking my breath away, heart pumping out of my chest kind of workout. So you and I have been hiking a lot. Mm-hmm. And now my legs are, not my thighs, just my calves are just fucking Latinous. Have to interrupt the word gelatinous to say just fucking Latinous because they really, truly, 1000%, I mean it, are.
You'll get used to it.
It's pretty bad.
It is pretty bad.
It's like a never-ending Charlie horse.
Like the first 2 months of doing it like that, it's pretty hard.
I had to miss dance yesterday. I was like, I can't touch anything to my calves now. I was like, this is going to literally kill me if I touch anything to my calves other than a fucking massager.
Sorry. Well, it'll get better. No, I know, but it'll be worth crazy. It'll be worth it. It is. I remember when I first started doing it, and now
your calves are used to it.
Now I'm used to it. Yeah.
My calves are just not. And by the way, we have a Dillon here with us today.
We have Dillon out here today. We have Alex's sister, and she's a little louder than Alex. Not by much, but a touch. And she's also...
you say, but a ton.
But a ton. No, a touch. She's never been out here before, so she's very like...
She's like, what is the pod lab?
Yeah, because she's not like super pushy like Alex is. So she's never... So today she was invited to come out and she's like, oh, okay. Although she is starting to get really pushy because now she's like, oh, no, I need to go there. No, I need to go there.
I know.
That's okay.
We had the best field trip the day I took her for a pup cup and then she was like refusing to get out of the car. I was like, no. Okay, but actually I really have one of these of my own at home that is going to be really pissed off if you stay in here for one more second.
Especially smelling like a pup cup.
Yeah. And he's not allowed to eat them because they're too high in fat. And then he regurgitates them. So
good times.
Yep. What's your disturbing fact?
Okay, my disturbing fact.
It's okay. Dillon will tell us about it. Okay. Dillon is very intrigued with our conversation. She's going to stay here like
Dillon burp. Okay.
Like this the whole time.
This is my disturbing fact. In 1898, an author named Morgan Robertson wrote the book called The Wreck of the Titan. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay, it's called The Wreck of the Titan or Futility, obviously.
Oh, so it's got two names.
Yeah, or Futility. Well, that's the name of it. So anyway, so the plot was about a ship called the Titan that was going on its maiden voyage across the Atlantic, and it struck an iceberg and sank, and that the ocean liner didn't have enough lifeboats to get all of the people off. And it was described in its maiden voyage in the book as being unsinkable because it was the biggest ship of its day. So does that ring a bell?
Like the Titanic?
14 years before the Titanic sunk, this book was written.
Oh, did he predict it?
Nope.
Was he a fortune teller?
No, he wasn't. And
did he write the prophecy of the Titanic before it even took place?
He did write the prophecy, but he said when he was asked
never let go.
If he was clairvoyant after the sinking of the Titanic, he said, no, he wasn't. He said, I'm just writing about what I know. And I am a big fan of maritime affairs. So, and I know that ocean liners are becoming a big thing for travel. And so I just wrote this book about the biggest ocean liner ever to cross the Atlantic Ocean.
And then it sank
on its first maiden voyage. And I made the boat unsinkable and it sunk in the thing because it hit an iceberg and there weren't enough lifeboats for all the people. So yeah, kind of weird fun fact.
Prophesized it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like, whoa, maybe it was like all roads lead back to Supernatural. Remember that episode of Supernatural where, what was it, Gabriel, like he undoes something and then like all these survivors of the Titanic are alive. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
But then a bunch of fucked up shit was going down differently because
there was a time ripple fuck up.
So
I thought you were going to say how Chuck was God and he was writing the books and shit was happening.
No, the episode with the Titanic. Also, Titanic isn't like my top 5 favorite movies ever, but I can't watch it because it makes me cry. But maybe I need to watch it because I think I just need a good cry in my life.
Probably. Either that or finish Firefly Lane.
I can't. Every time I try to watch it, I just already start crying and I'm like, I can't pay attention now. I'm already crying.
Yeah.
The tears have already busted open. I need to like do it after I've had the good cry so I can pay attention and then still cry. But no, the Titanic, it registered with me the other day that my gal plays Molly Brown, Kathy Bates.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know she played Molly Brown.
Oh yeah, the
And then-
unsinkable Molly Brown, who nobody liked her because she was new money. She wasn't old money, so she wasn't cultured. She was from the West.
Yep. And
she
she
was
has the
all-
house in Denver, and it's one of the most haunted houses, apparently, one of the most haunted properties, apparently, in all of Colorado. And we've toured it, and it's really pretty and really unique and really cool. And like, I would just die to have one of those houses one day. But the day I got pushed down the stairs was like one of those houses. It just wasn't quite as bougie and nice.
All right, well, let's get to it because I'm hearing from you that you've got a lot of information to give.
I do. This is the Black Dahlia part 2. Pardon the sigh. Just buckle up. You know me. No recaps. Let's get right into it.
You know me. You down with OPP?
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
I don't know what that means, but I'm just here. Okay. You know me. We're not doing a recap here. Straight into it. Part
Okay,
2,
do it.
the Black Dahlia. Okay, before we get into suspects, we need to talk about the letters, the package, and her belongings, because this is like where it all just turned from murder to circus. So
Alrighty then.
we kind of started talking about it in part 1, but to clarify, the famous package of her belongings was not originally sent to the FBI. It was actually sent to the Los Angeles Medical Examiner, or Los Angeles Examiner, and the different papers in LA, not the Medical Examiner. My brain just inserted that before Examiner. The newspaper, because apparently this killer or someone that was pretending to be the killer wanted an audience. And of course, the press is giving them their heyday, you know? So the FBI does become involved though with the letters and the evidence, because obviously they were helping the LAPD with fingerprints, records, suspects, blah, 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 all of it. So basically the package to the press, the FBI like is involved now, right?
Mm-hmm.
After a few days, or after she was identified a few days later, someone claiming to be the killer calls the Los Angeles Examiner. And this man is like, hey, you guys are doing a great job. Love what you did with this all happening here. Great coverage of the story. Yeah, I might turn myself in eventually, but right now I'm not feeling it. So let's just keep you on your little scavenger hunt.
What a fucker.
Yeah.
Sorry. Fuck. My eyes got big. As big as they can with the swelling.
And then he tells the editor what?
Nothing. Sorry.
As big
You
as they
didn't
can
even
with the
laugh.
swelling. Your eyes are not swollen.
This one is. Look.
Just slightly. Yeah, because she got assaulted by a salty snack. Sorry, Dad. That was what my dad said. Because she got home last night and opened the pantry. And why she opened the pantry after we were at dinner is beyond me. And then a thing of potatoes fell on her face.
Potato sticks and a
Oh, and a
55-gallon drum aluminum thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was fucking heavy and hard.
Scratched her eye a little bit, banged
Frickin'
her up a lot a bit.
Yeah, it gave me a black eye and a cut in my eyebrow.
Nice. So you have the gang marker now? Cool.
And I have a black
I
eye.
might be in the wrong company.
And I have a shiner.
And then he tells the editor to expect souvenirs of Beth Short in the mail.
Okay, does that send a clue that he called her Beth, or does everybody call her Beth?
Well, everyone called her Beth.
Okay, never
Beth
mind.
and Betty were her
Okay.
two like names. I said it in part 1. If I call her name was Elizabeth Short, right?
Right, but she
If
went
I
by
call
Beth, Betty, and
Beth and Betty.
and the Black Dahlia.
Yeah, those were her nicknames.
Okay.
Which obviously the use of the word souvenirs is just disgusting because these were a murdered woman's belongings, not souvenirs. It's not like she went to Disney World and brought them home for them.
It was that trunk that she left at the train station, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. All of her belongings, basically, except for what was in her purse. A few days later, a manila envelope shows up addressed to the Los Angeles Examiner, and the writing on the outside is made out of cutout newspaper words, like full-on ransom note style.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I hard eye roll. I'm like, really? Get original, people.
So this is probably the original of it.
Is it?
Maybe. It's one of them. I mean, this was in 1947.
Okay.
Well, I'm like thinking like John Benet Ramsey's was
Well, yeah, that was
in the
obviously
90s.
not original.
The Zodiac Killers was in the 60s. Like
70s, right? Anyway.
something like that. So this envelope basically says, here's the Black Dahlia's belongings and a letter will follow. So he's just fucking stringing these people along, right?
Mm-hmm. He's just having fun with this horrific murder tragedy.
Uh-huh. And
Asshole.
inside the package was her birth certificate, business cards, a bunch of her pictures, names written on scrap pieces of paper. And we're going to head into this more deeply in part 2.
Like, what part?
I'm like, sorry, part 2. Because I remember I wrote this because I talked about it in the first part. The black book. Remember the little black book that was gifted to her?
Mhm.
But it wasn't like a little black book. It was that Hollywood guy's book
Mhm.
that had a bunch of Hollywood people in it for her to connect to.
Mhm.
That he said he gave it to her. Or everyone said he gave it to her. That was in this. So this is a huge reason why Mark Hansen, which we're going to dive into, stays like in this case, is because of the little black book.
Okay.
So why this package is so important before we get into suspects, obviously, is because it has her personal belongings in it, and whoever had access to her personal belongings before she vanished for that week. Remember that week that she vanished and it was like she was maybe or maybe not seen?
Mm-hmm.
And the package had reportedly been cleaned with gasoline, which her body had also been cleaned with gasoline.
Right.
So the police are looking at this like, okay, is this killer taunting us? Is he just trying to get a ruse out of all of this? Like, is this some just random person that intercepted her shit while it was in its travels?
Mhm.
Sorry, I shouldn't call it her shit. I literally had this conversation the other day.
Her
I was
belongings?
like, yeah, well, just not referring to things as shit.
Yeah.
I just had this conversation.
Unless they are actual shit.
Yeah, because I'm like, I shouldn't look at my stuff and go, oh my God, I need to clean my shit. No, this is my stuff.
Your belongings.
This is mine.
Mhm.
It's not shit. It's mine.
Correct.
I own this stuff. I love this stuff. Either way, this package is like not helpful other than just being annoying to the press and to the FBI.
Because there's
And,
no leads or anything in it, right?
Yeah.
And it's been scrubbed.
Yeah. So it gives us more questions and obviously gives us answers. And the FBI later said fingerprints were found on an anonymous letter that may have been sent by the killer. But obviously, we don't know if somebody's just fucking with the police and like just trying to get like more circulation going in the media
Mm-hmm.
or what. But like the fingerprints didn't match anyone at this point in the FBI's files. So again, we hit this tiny little like glimmer of a lead and then it hits a wall again, just like this entire case. The most famous unsolved case in the United States. Maybe.
One of them.
Probably
Definitely in the top 5. Maybe top 10. I don't know. There's slots. But like famous wise, probably in the top 5.
Yeah, fame-wise, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously kind of like just this whole case is just, oh, we have something. Nope, we don't. Oh,
JK.
there might be something. Oh, just kidding.
Just kidding.
So then there's more letters. People or the press is getting messages about someone calling themselves the Black Dahlia Avenger. Like this is just all going fucking crazy. One letter says they will turn themselves in at a specific time. Police show up. Nobody shows up. Like
shocking.
You know, they're just sending them on a wild goose chase, whether it's them or not. Then another message basically says, never mind, I changed my mind, and tries to justify killing her. It just all sucks because somebody is keeping the story circulating in the media.
Mhm.
Instead of like them actually focusing on trying to solve her murder, it's just turning into a circus.
Yeah.
And so just because the press and police are already way too intertwined, it just makes the whole thing even worse. I mean, I think I said it in part 1 that they were working together, right? That like they would be like, okay, you guys can include this bit of information, but you can't include this bit of information because only the killer is going to know these pieces of information. They're not going to know these pieces of information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's just obsessed with this case, right? Like it's just national headlines. The investigation is basically just turning to shit at this point. The FBI is also getting letters from people who are claiming that they killed her or accusing random men. Like I said in the first episode, people are, and I'm laughing because J. Edgar Hoover, as we know and we've discussed, sucked at his job. He wasn't actually this big bad hero helping the United States fight crime and solve crime. But like literally somebody wrote a letter that said, "Dear FBI, this guy scammed me once, so maybe he also killed the Black Dahlia." Just like totally wasting time, right? Being like, oh shit, okay, well here comes something else. I guess we have to investigate it because they never want to like not investigate a lead. But I'm pretty sure I was deciding this when I was researching all of this. I was like obviously the leads and the suspects are suspects for a reason, and we're going to dive into all of them. But basically, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, what if none of these people did it? And like, we don't even like, we're not even like, nobody investigated the right guy. Like he just got away and nobody's ever going to know except for that guy and Elizabeth, who's dead.
Probably what's actually happened.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to give you some evidence though, on the contrary.
Well, yeah, just because I only know about the ones that I know about, and I'm sure you have way more. And the one guy seems like a pretty solid chance that it's him.
The doctor.
Yeah, but you don't know for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of what's the circumstantial evidence, but there's also a lot that like we're gonna dive
All right,
the hell into it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so where we have to be careful going into suspects is because, you know, there's like just so many different just options happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's literally like so many people. So we're going to talk about actual real suspects today. People the police consider that there were proper investigations done around blah, 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 all of that.
Okay.
But now we need to talk about her luggage because this is another weird loose end in this case. Because remember how we talked about that she was driven by Red Manley? We've already cleared Red Manley. At least we think we have.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to talk about him a lot today. But he drove her from San Diego to Los Angeles. They went to the Biltmore. They stopped at the Union Station. She checked in those 2 suitcases. She gets to the Biltmore. She doesn't have any of her belongings with her. She just has what's in her purse. Like we've already established this. Then she goes missing. But on the day that like basically no one is guaranteed to see her on January 14th, that's when the person using Beth's name and had some kind of ID of hers sent her stuff off to Alaska. So it's just, we don't know if it was her or not, obviously. So this is just, she's disappeared at this point. Like we don't really know if that was her or not, right?
Okay, but the person who took her stuff and checked
Had
in
her
and said,
stuff with her.
Yeah, I know, but like I'm talking about somebody had to have taken that stuff from the person. And so the person who took the stuff, I don't mean taking it, but like if you go to the airlines and you check your bags, a person takes those bags.
Somebody had to verify identity.
Yeah, so
somebody had her identity.
So the person who took her thing and did her verification of her identity couldn't confirm or deny it was her, or they never found the person who was responsible for taking her belongings and sending them to Alaska.
Well, you know, we have possible witness mistakes.
Well, there's that. Eyewitness testimony, notoriously wrong.
Yeah, so we don't know if it was actually Beth, if it was a misunderstanding, like what happened really, or if the killer was trying to throw Beth's scent off of the case and ship her luggage somewhere else.
Okay.
Because remember we talked about she had no connection to Alaska.
Okay.
Unless a boyfriend that we didn't know about was there. And I say a boyfriend, one of her guys that would just do things for her because she never really slept with any of them. Remember, we also established that. We obviously don't have a clean answer here, but her suitcases are at Union Station. Her personal belongings get mailed to the newspaper. The address book is in the mix. Her purse and her shoes are found, you know, like all this stuff is happening. Yeah. It's just all insane. This case is just crazy. Okay, so let's just jump right into some suspects.
Let's do it.
Mark Hansen, who was the club owner, remember, and she rented the room from him. By the summer and fall of 1946, Elizabeth Short, who's now going by Beth, right? Or at least people know her as Beth. She was becoming familiar over Hollywood. When the war was over, she was, you know, back in the scene looking for her men, as we discussed in part 1. She was looking for her man in a uniform. She didn't have a lot of close relationships, as we also discussed. But one of the people who was really close to her was Ann Toth, who was a young actress and model, who was allegedly maybe Mark Hansen's girlfriend. And Mark, he was a successful Danish-born Hollywood theater owner and businessman. He owned several theaters. He had ties to the Florentine Gardens nightclub, and he lived at that house that she rented that room at with Anne, that she slept in the same room, and there was also those lesbian rumors about them, right?
Yeah.
His estranged wife and daughters lived nearby, but they would always say that their dad had like let a bunch of showgirls or like Hollywood wannabes, Hollywood hopefuls like stay in the house. You know, this was a known thing he did.
So it wasn't weird. It was just like him being a nice guy.
Yeah. So Elizabeth first came into his world when Marjorie Graham and her roommate at the time and friend, they were struggling to find a place to stay. A musician named Sid Zaid had allowed them to stay with him, but he was like, you girls are too much. Like, this isn't working out. Here's a friend of mine that lets people like you stay with them. Like that you don't have a ton of money, but you're a Hollywood hopeful, blah, 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 whatever. So he gives them the information. Elizabeth and Marjorie stay at the house for about a week to 10 days. So like it's a very short time she's here. Ann Toth first met Beth at Mark's home after Ann returned from a trip to San Diego. When she came home, Beth and Mark were there. And that was the beginning of Ann's relationship with Beth, right? And Ann would say that not necessarily like that they were not necessarily like social friends in the sense that they went out together, but they were really close. She helped Beth during her final times. So Mark later claimed that Beth and Marjorie had to leave because Marjorie drank too much and because Beth had undesirable men waiting outside for her all the time. Anne gave a different impression. She said Beth didn't drink, she didn't smoke, she usually came in at a decent hour and was more innocent than people like made her out to sound. As we've already discussed, we've already gone through the rumors, we've already tried to cut the shit.
Right.
You know, Anne was always defending her. The most important part of Anne's account is that Mark may have been much more interested in Beth than he admitted to being. Mark denied dating her and he tried to downplay his attraction to her, but Anne told investigators that Mark and Beth were, quote, going together, or at least that Beth allowed him to think that they were, that she was like using him, you know? I mean, I don't want to call her a user, but facts are facts, right? Like she was getting things from guys without having to do anything. So either that's just poor judgment of guys or she's just that amazing.
Yeah, just one of those people that people want to save and help.
Right. Anne agreed with the investigators that Mark seemed to be like carrying the torch for her. Other reports suggest that he was jealous and possessive and very interested in her. And so that's what happened. According to Anne, Beth told her that Mark tried to make her a couple times, you know, like make her in Hollywood. But Beth led him to believe that she was a virgin. And she supposedly was like, then he was like, I'm good then. If you're a virgin, I'm not going to do anything about it. Anne also said that Beth seemed afraid of Mark. When LAPD officer Ed Barrett asked Anne directly if she thought Beth was afraid of him, Anne said yes. She explained that Beth did not stay around him much and she would have been afraid to confide in Anne because she thought Anne might be reporting things back to Mark.
Okay.
So there's just a lot of looseness happening around here.
Yeah, there is.
There were also signs of tension inside the house. At one point, Beth cleaned Mark's bathroom and threw out empty bottles and other items. And he was like, what the fuck? So it sounds like he was a hoarder maybe. And she was just trying to help him. And he's like, why are you getting rid of my shit? Anne thought, my stuff? Why are you getting rid of my stuff? We just had this conversation. Why are you getting rid of my stuff?
Getting rid of my belongings.
Anne thought that he should have been grateful that someone helped him clean, but he was furious, which I don't think is reason to kill someone. But you got rid of my empty bottle of ibuprofen. How fucking dare you?
Right? You scrubbed my toilet, you bitch.
Her living situation with Mark was obviously unstable. Like I said, they got kicked out, her and Marjorie, her roommate. She moved out on October 22nd, 1946, after Glenn Kearns drove her around all night looking for a place to stay.
So sad.
The next day, on October 23rd, she ended up back at Mark's house. Around that time, Anne said that Beth placed a long-distance call to Gordon Fickling. Remember him? Joseph Gordon Fickling?
The beater.
The beater. Yeah. I don't know why I called him Gordon here. Like I said, it was like back and forth. So remember I said that people called him Gordon, but only a handful of sources called him Gordon. And she charged it to Mark's phone bill anyway, without telling him, which was another problem because long distance phone calls in the 40s. Not cheap, I could imagine.
Right.
She eventually paid for the call, and then Mark allowed her back in without Marjorie. He's still like, she's still got to go. Beth continued seeing other men, but according to Anne, they were not allowed to visit her in the house. This is one of the details that like obviously makes Mark look worse because he's like, you're living in my house, but you can't date here. Like it just makes him seem more controlling and more in love with her. And he still wanted to control her access to other men.
Yeah.
Anne said that Beth moved out of Mark's home then around November 13th, 1946 again, after a fight with another woman connected to Mark. According to Anne, Mark had told Beth that they were going together, but he was also had other women coming around. I think going together means they were going steady.
Right, like they're dating. We're going together. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, it's old world terminology. I took it from a book. Old world. Just almost 80 years ago. It's fine. When another woman showed up and insulted Beth, obviously fighting ensued. A lot of words were said, a lot of choice words. Apparently it almost became physical.
Ooh.
Mark stepped in and he's like, Beth, get the fuck out of my house. So she moved out the next day. But Anne was like, Beth was in the right. So awkward.
But it's his house, so.
Right. After he threw Beth out, Anne was the only one who helped her. Remember I said that she was one of the ones who helped her, but it was very quiet because she didn't want Mark to know that she's helping her. So Anne found Beth a place to stay at the Chancellor. Remember the hotel I was talking about? That was the $1 a day. She paid for her first week's rent for her.
Aww.
And she helped her move. She brought her her mail, and she later lent her the coat that she was last seen wearing at the Biltmore Hotel the last day that we know for a fact that there's evidence of her being there and known sightings. Her last day before the missing week. Anne did this without telling Mark because she's like, he's going to be mad. I still need to live here. He's still my friend. Like, I'm still an up and coming actress. I still need his resources.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, Beth later returned to visit Anne and Mark, and she said that she did not like living at the Chancellor because there was bad company. Mark said that he felt bad for her and he drove her back to the apartment. He claimed that was the last time he saw her. According to Mark, Beth said that she planned to go to Oakland for the holidays and might call him when she came back to see if he had changed his mind about letting her stay at his home again. Remember, I said that she was saying that the roommate said she was going to Santa Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
So she's telling him Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
So again, she's talking about going north, but then she really goes to San Diego.
Well, and you said something else besides that too. I feel like you said you said Burbank.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's where I said it. I said Burbank. Yeah. Santa Barbara was where Camp Cook was.
Okay.
After Beth's murder, Mark became important, obviously, to the investigation because of the Black Book.
Mm-hmm.
Mark claimed that she had stolen it and also said that she stole other things from him. But this is significant because the killer, or someone claiming to be the killer, had mailed the belongings to the press, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Mark's address book was there, it's obviously keeping him very closely connected to this.
Mm-hmm.
On January 16th, 1947, police were trying to locate someone they believed was named Ann Todd and realized they were probably looking for her. And she was like, oh, I'm going to go to them, I guess. So she and Mark went to the homicide office together and identified herself as Beth's friend and explained that Beth had lived at the house on 2 different occasions. Mark verified parts of the story, but he didn't want to talk to reporters who were going to question him further. Mark reportedly said he was nobody and that he was only Ann's chauffeur, which obviously isn't true because he's a well-connected Hollywood dude.
Right.
This detail is obviously important because publicly not everyone, but people know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Anne later said that Mark was irritated about his name being mentioned in connection with the case. Obviously, I would be too if I wasn't actually involved.
Right.
I was just someone who wanted to date her and didn't work out. Mark was interviewed again on January 25th, 1947. He denied dating Beth, and several girls had rented rooms from him, right? He didn't go out with any of them. He's like, dude, my story is straight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't date any of these women. He described Beth as having many dates, most of them with hoodlums. So there's the jealousy again.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like if she's going out with hoodlums, they're not buying her things. And whoever she's going out with is buying her things. So these are probably not hoodlums.
Well, it's his description.
Right, which just sounds jealous as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
He's just that guy. He's just so jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Anne said that she was a nice girl, right? Who was quiet, didn't drink, didn't smoke, that she was a good girl. And so that's obviously they have conflicting reports of who she was. Another obvious detail that points against Mark is all the pictures that were found of her at his house. And Mark said he got the photos from an officer because a girl had information about Beth being at the Hal Browning Hotel and he wanted the photos so the girl could identify her. Although we know he had a thing for her, right? According to everyone.
Suspicious. That sounds not true.
He was never charged with anything. The case against him is just very circumstantial.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously downplayed his romantic connection to her and his feelings for her. And the address book, obviously, he lied about it. But yeah, there's no definitive evidence that he killed her.
Okay.
Anne, on the other hand, is important because she gives Beth's story humanity back, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, this was my friend. She's sticking up for her in the press when others are judging her.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, she was very decent. She was a very good person. She wasn't a slut. She helped her find shelter. She paid for her rent. She brought her mail. She lent her a coat. She's just good people to her, right? Beth and Anne are friends.
Mm-hmm.
Whether the lesbian stuff, we can't get caught up on that, right?
No.
they were just good to each other.
Right.
And then she's like, maybe Beth was afraid of him. And so that's Anne's remarks about it. However, in 1949, a woman named Lola Titus, also known as Beverly Alice Bennett, or the Lady in Gold, shot Mark while he was shaving in his bathroom. She reportedly had decided that he was either going to love her, marry her, take care of her, or she was going to kill him.
Did he die?
No, not then.
Not then. Okay.
In the district attorney's investigation, Lola was described as a friend of Beth who had never been thoroughly questioned, although it still doesn't really involve, it doesn't say, I just thought that was an interesting thing that she shot him. She's like, you're going to love me or I'm going to fucking kill you.
Well, and I'm sure, like you said about the police, because they think, well, if she's capable of killing him, maybe she killed Elizabeth because she was jealous or something.
Yeah, they never questioned her though. But I mean, definitely shows how like volatile these people are.
Yeah, no shit.
Mark died on June 14th, 1964. He's one of the most important figures in this case, obviously, because he's related to the housing instability, the Hollywood nightlife. He was into her. That was that possessive male attention that she put up with, that she allowed in her life.
Mm-hmm.
The little black book, and then the conflicting stories. Okay, our next suspect. Do you have any comments about Mark
No.
or Anne?
No.
Okay. I'm like, I want to let you speak, but I called my mom earlier. I was like, this is going to take 87 years. We're never going to get through this. I have every suspect that's ever existed in here. No, I actually don't, but I have a lot. My initial 10 pages turned to 43 pages. So.
Right. So I was told to be quiet. So here I am just nodding my head and my eyes get big. Whoa.
So that's why I just want to make sure you don't have anything to say.
No, I'm good. I feel like you said everything.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know what I mean. I
Like,
mean,
you
Anne
can have
loved her and
comments.
cared about her and was close to her and was defending her and obviously upset about the fact that she was killed. And not only that she was killed, but also that she was being trashed publicly. And Mark obviously is kind of a dick. And while he wanted to help her, he also wanted to own her, it sounds like. And that's my take on that.
Okay, we can then move on if that's all you had to say about it.
You
Like, that
covered
was
it
just
well.
the facts.
I had no questions. You covered it well.
That's just the facts, baby.
I did go, when you said the lady in gold shot him, I was like, oh shit.
The ghost.
No, I didn't mean that. I just was like, oh.
Marvin Margolis was a young Navy veteran and a pre-med student who knew Elizabeth Short during her final months in Los Angeles. Beth reportedly introduced him as her cousin to people, but investigators later treated him as more significant than that, describing him as a boyfriend figure and noting that he was the only pre-med student known to have lived with her.
Okay.
So remember how they were like,
Yes, someone surgical.
yeah, zeroed into the fact that she was bisected and it was like, this is only a medical, because of the way the lumbar was separated, like it wasn't hacked. It was perfect.
It was done by somebody with medical knowledge.
Yeah, which just makes my like heart stop. Makes my heart skip a beat. I'm like, people are crazy.
People are crazy.
It's just crazy because this was a real person and real people were involved in this. And it's like, it's just sometimes it's hard. It's like especially when the headlines are like, well, we talked about it in part 1. You had the Hollywood misinterpretation of it in your brain, not her true story.
Correct.
So it's hard to sometimes separate the
fiction.
all the hoopla, the Hollywood circus about it, to this was a real person with a real life, with a sad story, who then got killed and nobody knows who did it. We just know she was tortured.
Right.
Like, it's sad.
It's really sad.
Marvin was born in Chicago on March 25th, 1925. As a child, he was described as shy, introverted, fearful, emotionally troubled. He reportedly sleepwalked until he was about 14, and he often threatened to run away from home. After high school, he started as a pre-med student at the University of Chicago, but shortly before turning 18, he enlisted in the Navy. During World War II, he served in the Naval Medical Corps. This is one of the biggest reasons that he later became interesting to investigators is because he knows medical things, right? He had naval training at hospitals. He was in operating rooms. Like, a psychiatric report from his Navy service described him as calm and quiet, but resentful and aggressive beneath the surface. He was frustrated with the Navy's discipline and he was just emotionally tense.
Okay.
The report also suggested he was struggling with resentment, a lack of focus, and that he was a hypochondriac. His war experience became even more intense when he was sent to the South Pacific and took part in the invasion of Okinawa in April of 1945.
Okay.
This was one of the bloodiest parts of history, like, ever. Marvin later served on the island for 56 days under heavy bombing and air attacks. He helped set up medical stations and worked with a large number of wounded patients and eventually served near the front lines. At one point, he worked out of a cave that collapsed during heavy rains, leaving him buried from his neck up. Leaving him buried, he only had his neck up until he freed himself the next day.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You're like buried from the neck up. I'm like, I think he'd be dead.
No, sorry. He only had the neck up free from mud.
Okay.
Until he somehow got himself out of there. That sounds impossible. That's like some Houdini shit.
No shit. How heavy is mud? And
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like quicksand.
Mm-hmm.
After this experience, he was described as emotional, depressed, unstable, suffering from memory loss.
Not surprising.
No, I'm like, I can't even imagine just like the stress of combat on your body from all this. Yeah, he was a part of the first landing group at Okinawa. By September of 1946, he was described as sullen, apathetic, sarcastic, and unpleasant. Obviously, this isn't an omission of guilt. However, we're just, we're diving into his psyche a little bit here to build a case against him, because otherwise, why would we be here? After the war, Marvin moved from Los Angeles and enrolled in pre-med classes at the University of Southern California. In October 1946, he shared an apartment at the Guardian Arms on Hollywood Boulevard with Bill Robinson, Elizabeth Shore, and Marjorie Graham for about 12 days.
Okay.
So this is obviously a key connection. It's not just someone that she kind of knew in passing. Like, she lived with him for 12 days. He was living in the same apartment with her shortly before her murder. After she was killed, Marvin and Bill were both wanted for questioning. Authorities described them as reluctant informants. Investigators also noticed that Marvin was the only pre-medical student who had lived with Beth as a boyfriend.
Okay.
Remember how I said that they were like cousin, and then that she was like cousin, and he was like definitely more than that. This detail made him stand out more because the condition of her body, obviously bisected, only medical person could do this. And they're like, oh, we know that the killer has anatomical knowledge. So now we're zeroing in on you, Marvin. Another strange angle of this involved a mystery man who had reportedly accompanied Beth to a radio broadcast in Hollywood and showed a Chicago police badge. Marvin was suspected of possibly being that man. However, in 1950, police checked their records. Chicago police checked their records and found no evidence of anyone with the name Margolis had ever applied or received a Chicago Special Police badge. They also stated that the Chicago Police Department did not issue honorary badges. Oh,
that's good. Good to know.
Well, I'm sure some places do. Or like service kind of, Look, I had my Junior Ranger badge.
Just like that, I'm sure.
My little sticker. So that leads, kind of weekend. Marvin married Edith Bernstein on November 26, 1946, only weeks after living at the Guardian Arms with Beth. By the end of the decade, he had moved back to Chicago, had a son, and was working in the auto supply company. In 1949, during a grand jury investigation, Deputy District Attorney Arthur Veitch raised Marvin's name again. He pointed out that within 56 days of Beth's death, she had roomed with a USC medical student named Marvin Margolis, and that Marvin's first obligation as a medical student would have been involved in dissecting a human corpse. This obviously investigators are taking it seriously even years later, especially because, again, of his knowledge of medical practice. Marvin was never charged with her murder, though, and based on all of this, he was not cleared in any way, but there's no definitive evidence also tying him to the crime, because we don't know of like any bad blood really between them.
He doesn't have bad blood, but he's just a little
screw loose.
Yeah.
Well, I would be too after seeing what he saw.
Yeah.
I'm a little screw loose after working on this. After working on all of the podcasts, not just this, specifically Samuel Little, that one just gets me. What made him suspicious, though, was his close access to Beth, his possible maybe being a boyfriend, his pre-med and naval medical corps background, documented combat trauma, and the fact that years later he's still being brought up. And now there is a newer update with Marvin.
Okay.
Which I thought was worth mentioning.
Yeah, if there's a new update.
In May, last month specifically, this is going to come out.
May 2026, obviously.
May 2026, Fox News reported that the LAPD cold case detectives were looking at newly discovered fingerprints from 1943 that may be connected to him. Obviously, she died in 1947. However, touching her stuff, right? Fingerprints on her belongings. So it means that obviously...
Well, how did they know he touched her stuff in 1943 and not 1946?
Well, maybe this was stuff she hadn't accessed in a while.
Oh.
The new information comes from the independent forensic examiner, Alex Baber, I think, who is the co-founder of Cold Case Consultants of America. He's pushing a theory that Marvin may be connected not only to the Black Dahlia, but to the Black Zodiac, to the Zodiac killer. Sorry, I just had a little dyslexia there. I know we're in crossover territory, but we're going to kind of stay in crossover territory for a minute.
Okay. Well, I thought they figured out who the Zodiac killer was, but I guess we don't definitively know that either.
No, we don't.
But they
They
think
have
it
a
was
pretty
that
heavy theory, but
military guy that died not too long ago, like 2 years ago, maybe.
yeah, that's another one I want to do. Or
Okay.
I want you to do. I want one of us to do it because that's interesting to me. According to the article, Alex gave LAPD what he says is Marvin's 1943 government fingerprint card. Oh, it's his card. Sorry. I'm like, I got lost. I did all this fucking research. My brain is a little wee.
Yeah, no, I understand.
His government fingerprint card from the war, obviously. And police hadn't obtained it previously.
Okay.
So
They
retired.
consider him to be a suspect, but they don't get his fingerprint card.
Right.
Okay.
Retirement or current cold case detective Marty Maharo said that the claim still needs to be vetted, but that it warrants further investigation.
Is Marvin still alive?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's passed away, but within the last couple of years.
Okay. Well, 1925 he was born, so.
Yeah, I think he's passed away in the 2000s. I don't know. I think I mentioned it. I don't know. Like I said, I did so much research and there's so many names that and who stands out in my brain. There's two people that I have as a very much standouts in my brain. And he's not one of them.
Okay.
So if that tells you where I think about him,
Okay.
except for this coming up years later. So the Fox article also points out that Marvin served in the Navy, right? Lived in Los Angeles after the war, had a roommate named Bill Robinson, dated Beth possibly. This is interesting because Bill Robinson is also noted as a Navy cryptologist. This only matters because we're talking about a possible Zodiac connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously people are going to start side-eyeing anyone around Marvin who had cryptology experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leaving these cryptic notes. So the article says that Marvin was among the 22 persons of interest identified in 1951. And so he was not just some random guy being dragged into this 80 years later, obviously. He was in this orbit of the investigation when it was taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And according to newer reporting, he later changed his name to Marvin Merrill and then again to Marty Merrill before settling back in Chicago. So that's kind of suspicious.
Right.
I would not say that the name change is, again, an admission of guilt, but it's pretty weird. Unless you're just trying to disconnect from who you were.
Right.
But in a cold case where someone is already a person of interest, already had access to Beth, already had medical training, and then later changes their name, it's worth mentioning.
Yeah, I would say so.
The article also talks about that Alex believes that Marvin may have gone under the name Marty Merrill, and there's a drawing under the name Marty Merrill that is reportedly titled Elizabeth, and this believed to be Elizabeth Short and have her wounds.
Oh, shit. Although there was public, though, information, right? Her wounds and all that, obviously.
Yeah, but
it's odd.
he also claims that the person there in the pencil indications and details in the drawing that the word Zodiac is also in the lower right, which is just weird and creepy, right? Just these connections.
Mm-hmm.
There's also one of these details that I'm putting a giant alleged stamp on. Yeah, that's just a giant alleged stamp right there.
Okay.
About this drawing and the Zodiac being on it and it being Elizabeth Short.
Do you have it? Are we going to see it on the Instagram?
I didn't look it up.
Well, you frickin' better find that shit.
I bet it's in the news or in this article. I can't remember. I've just done so much, as I said.
I know, but I need to see that.
I'll see if I can find it.
Okay, you will find it for the Instagram.
You will find it.
You will find it.
If it's out there.
Okay.
It might not be public.
Okay.
Well, if no one's posted it, then it's not out there and I can't find it.
Correct. But if that guy knows about it, it should be somewhere.
Yeah, but he works on cold cases.
Okay.
Like he's doing this. He has the fingerprint card.
Okay.
And the picture.
Okay.
Which you may not have posted on Google.
Damn him. Alex, post it.
Fox also reported that the FBI previously said that there were fingerprints on packaging later connected to a letter or package that may have come from Beth's killer. And like I said, remember those didn't match any of the fingerprints that were in the FBI database at the time. And that the package reportedly contained 23 pieces of her life and her purse the night she was abducted and murdered. So basically he's saying we have this old package connected to Beth's belongings. We have this fingerprint that was not matched back then. And now we have a 1943 fingerprint card that should be looked at again. This picture that says Zodiac, like it's just all happening. So my updated takeaway from all of this is that Marvin was already suspicious and now he's extra. And maybe has a Zodiac connection, which is just extra. Okay, yeah, so he's just one of the ones with more recent movement around his name. So if they're willing to look at it, it would be interesting. But we also need to talk more about the Zodiac killer connection, because apparently the Black Dahlia, if it wasn't already chaotic enough, it just has connections to the Zodiac killer, whether he was the Zodiac killer or someone else. Like, there's just connections allegedly and crossovers happening here. Yeah, and just the Black Dahlia Avenger and all that. Okay, so now let's talk about probably the most famous one, Dr. George Hodel, probably one of the biggest Black Dahlia rabbit holes of all time. So just hold my hand and we'll just get through this together.
Okay.
So this is just crazy because it's just like weird. This whole George Hodel shit is weird. And then his son's like, my dad's a serial killer. It's just crazy.
Okay.
So he's probably one of the most famous modern suspects in the Black Dahlia case, mostly because of his son, Steve Hodel, who later was like, my dad killed Elizabeth Short. My dad's responsible for the Black Dahlia murder. And what did I say? Doctor. And Steve Hodel is not just some random guy with the cork board and red string that's on the internet. He's not a sleuth.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually an LAPD officer.
Oh.
Yeah. So he was a homicide detective. Sorry. Not only was he an officer, he was a homicide detective.
Okay.
So when he came out and said, I think my father killed the Black Dahlia, people were like, okay, wait a sec. I'm listening.
Right. Because you're not probably just a quack.
Yeah, like, it's like, wait a sec.
Right.
Like, I don't know. If I came out there and said my dad killed someone, people would probably be like, oh, okay. Daphne, keep talking shit. But he says it, and he's a detective. It's like, oh.
Right.
Well, and knowing who his dad was in the community as well.
Well, and knowing the infamy of the Black Dahlia case, unless you really hate your dad, and you're like, oh, you know what? You left me out of your will? Fuck you. You're the fucking Black Dahlia killer.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I need to put a giant disclaimer on here. He was never charged. He was never convicted. The case is still unsolved.
And he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead now. So everything with George is either police suspicion, family accusation, circumstantial evidence, or Steve Hodel, right? Or other family members, like his granddaughters started a podcast all about how they think he's guilty, but I didn't listen to it. I don't like too much bias in interfering in my space.
Yeah, me either. I
So,
never listened to anything.
I'll probably give it a listen now that I'm wrapped.
Right.
But
and then you'll be like, fuck, I wish I would have listened to this before because blah, blah, blah. And then you could do a little like, oh, hey, but I did listen and this and this and this. Because that's what happens to me. It
and
happens.
this and this and this.
Right? Because you don't want to listen to it before because you don't want to.
I don't want any bias.
You don't want to accidentally bias yourself while you're working on a case. But by the same token, you're curious and then you're going to listen to it and you're going to be like, fuck, I should have mentioned this, but I didn't know. So anyway, okay, back to
exactly.
It. Sorry, my bad.
So
apparently there's 78 pages left to go, so I'll be quiet.
Jill, I just called him Jill. George Hill Hodel Jr. or Jill. Just Daphne and dyslexia, combining words. It's all the things. Was born on October 10th, 1907 in Los Angeles. His parents were George Hodel Sr. and Esther Hodel, and they were Jewish immigrants from Russia. And from the very beginning, he was apparently not a normal kid, and I don't mean like in the cutesy gifted program, I'm really smart kind of way. I mean like people were like, oh, this kid's like weirdly smart. Like this isn't a cutesy gifted and talented program. Like this is a freakishly too knowledgeable for his own good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I said not the cutesy, hee. Like apparently when he was a kid, his IQ was 186.
Wow.
Which if that's true, he was crazy smart. And he was also described as a musical prodigy who played piano concerts when he was like 7 or 8. He reportedly went to a Montessori school in Paris when he was young, and then later went to South Pasadena High School where he graduated super early, about 14 or 15.
Wow.
Yeah. So we already have this picture of like this, like just freakishly weirdly smart human, right? Mm-hmm. As a child.
Doogie Howser.
Who?
Never mind.
Is that Officer Duty?
No. There was this show.
Officer Doofy.
Officer Doofy. No, there was this show way back when with Neil Patrick Harris, and he played this character named Doogie Howser, who was a child prodigy, but he was a doctor. And he was like 17 or some shit. I don't know. I never watched it, but
I love Neil Patrick Harris. That's funny.
Yeah. He like went to, medical school when he's 9 kind of thing.
Right.
So when everybody's like, oh my God, he's just a kid. And he's like, well, but I'm the smartest kid you'll ever meet. Come and meet me in my doctor room. I'll shut up. I never watched it, but I
come and meet me in my doctor room. Come and meet me in the exam room.
Yeah, there you go.
So he was very used to being treated like he was special. After high school, he enrolled at Caltech because, of course, he did. And, he apparently only lasted about a year, though. Again, he's like, used to being like super smart, and he wasn't. And the reason why he allegedly left Caltech is messy.
Well, tell me.
Can you handle it?
I need to know.
Apparently, he got a professor's wife pregnant.
Oh, shit. And he was young.
He's like 15.
And he wasn't smart?
Well, it blew up her marriage and his college career there.
Yeah.
So, very scandalous. He apparently wanted to raise the child with her, but she refused. So again,
because he's 15.
Right, from early adulthood. We have George wrapped up in sex scandal, like just weird power dynamics and chaos.
Yeah.
Like, it's a theme here. Isn't that funny?
That's fucking weird as shit. And he wanted to raise it. I'm 15. I would like to raise your child.
He's like probably 16 at this point.
Okay,
because it's like a year in.
I mean, yeah, okay. If your girlfriend's also 16, cool, but...
Right, she's a whole ass woman.
Right, a whole ass married woman.
To a professor.
Yeah.
After leaving Caltech, some sources say he worked as a taxi driver or a journalist in Los Angeles before officially getting himself back on the academic track.
Okay.
He then studied pre-med at Berkeley and went to medical school at the University of California in San Francisco, where he received his medical degree in 1936. Wait, he was born in 1907. He's only still 19.
He got back on track and fucking graduated from medical school.
Like, he's quick. That or they really changed some requirements.
36 to 7, though? That's not 19.
What?
You said 1936 and he was born in 1907.
Oh, so he's 29.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm like,
still.
Damn. And I can math. Like, they really changed some requirements here. This is a 3-year degree.
It still sounds pretty
outrageous.
It sounds like a lot still.
It sounds like a smart guy.
Yeah.
So this medical degree is, again, why he's like pulled back into suspect land. And he later gets pulled back in because he's crazy. George being a doctor obviously doesn't make him automatically guilty, but he's just guilty in life anyway. Like, this man is in hell, and we're going to get why.
Okay.
So, when you're building this like suspect profile, like the FBI is doing, they're like, oh, it's a doctor or someone with medical knowledge, somebody who's obviously deeply disturbed. And just everything around George just screams guilty. So I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sway anyone before they listen if they've never heard this theory or heard about this person before. But like, if I didn't already spoil some beans with getting a professor's wife pregnant at like 16, I don't know what's going to tell you. Dillon's like listening and focusing very hard on my story.
Dillon's never heard it before. That's why she doesn't want to be scared.
So after medical school, George worked in lodging camps in Arizona and New Mexico before returning to LA. In LA, he became a physician and was associated with venereal disease and social hygiene. And some things describe him as specializing in sexually transmitted diseases or gynecology. So, this is where people go, oh, okay, see, medical training. And he also knows sexual health. So because of this and the police just framing this all as a sex crime, it's like just fucking another layer onto this case because police are already over-sexualizing her. So by the 1940s, George was very wealthy. He was artsy. He was in all these Hollywood-adjacent circles. He was connected to filmmakers, artists, and like Bohemian Grove kind of people.
Okay. He's very eclectic in his people that he's surrounding himself with.
Yeah, fair. So he's also hanging out with people like John Huston and Man Ray. He was apparently very interested in surrealism. And later, Steve Hodel, his son, would make a huge deal out of this because he believed Beth's body was staged in a way that referenced surrealist art, especially Man Ray.
Okay, I don't know who that is. I'll have to look that up too.
Artist, I guess.
A surrealist, obviously.
So Steve's theory is not just my dad was a doctor and a creep. It was my dad was a doctor, a creep, a surrealist adjacent intellectual, and he staged this murder like a piece of violent art. And Again, this is Steve's theory, not established fact, but obviously he's the reason why George Hodel's name is lived on to this day.
Mm-hmm.
He had a very complicated personal life with several relationships and marriages. He had a common law with a relationship with a woman named Amelia, and they had a son together named Duncan. He later married Dorothy Anthony, a fashion model from San Francisco, and they had a daughter named Tamar. And then he married Dorothy Harvey, who had previously been married to director John Huston, but because both women were named Dorothy, he's like, Dorothy Harvey, I'm calling you Doriro, which is really just weird. I don't quite understand it, but whatever.
I thought you tripped on your words.
Doriro. I thought it was Dorio at first, like Oreo, and it's Doriro.
Okay.
Doriro, he had 3 sons, including Steve Hodel, who's the cop that's accusing him.
Mm-hmm.
Some sources describe his household in the late 1940s as a polygamist playground. They were like, it's very unconventional. He's got wives, ex-wives, children, lovers, complicated family dynamics. Like everyone's here. It's a big orgy all the time. The kids are not a part of the orgy, but it's just a big orgy all the time. This is other people's accounts of it, right? Like, so it's alleged.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it wasn't my pick offense suburbia.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to respond.
No, I'm taking it in, and I don't like to hear you say the word orgy.
Well, unfortunately.
I'm just reading it. I'm not living it.
Uh-huh. In 1945, he bought the Soden house in Los Angeles, which, Mom, if you've never seen this house.
I have seen it.
Okay. It looks like it's specifically designed for a true crime documentary.
Mm-hmm.
It was built in 1926 by Lloyd Wright, the son of Frank Lloyd Wright, and it was like a Mayan revival temple-looking house. It's basically like a villain's fever dream. Like it's like a villain's lair kind of situation. Like it's just happening. It was meant to be what it is.
Okay.
In George Hodel's life. He lived there from about 1945 to 1950, which means he was living there when Beth was murdered in 1947.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Hodel's theory is that Beth was killed, tortured, and dissected inside the Souden house, possibly in the basement. But we do have to be very clear, this is just theory. He was never convicted of any of these crimes. He's George's life, Steve's theory. There have also been claims about cadaver dogs possibly alerting on the property, and Steve has also claimed that there's other victims, but no one's been confirmed, and we're still living in theory territory.
Okay.
But still, the Souden house matters because it was, the location in which it happened, and it's already just a creepy house and a creepy suspect and a creepy murder and creep factor.
Lots of creepiness.
Lots of creep factor.
Creepiness overload.
Yep. Now, George
with a side of extra creepy.
Yeah, with a side of extra creep. George wasn't a suspect right away. She was murdered in 1947, but his name comes around in 1949. The reason, like I said, the kid's not really being involved in the orgy, but being involved in the orgy, he assaulted his daughter, allegedly, according to her. They went to court. He was arrested and went to trial because apparently he got her pregnant. So incest, rape, horrible, bad things. That's why I said, I'm like, whether or not he killed her, he's still a bad fucking person.
Yeah, no shit.
And was doing bad, weird, creepy things in his life.
No shit.
Bad.
He's
he was
bad man.
acquitted. He is. So he was, legally found not guilty, but the trial was still obviously fucking disturbing as shit, as it would be, because, you're hurting your own daughter. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And some accounts say that there were multiple witnesses to this, but some say witnesses recanted and refused to testify, that they may have been scared or pressured, in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where the Black Dahlia connection gets stronger, because after the Tamar trial, that was her name, Tamar.
Uh-huh. That's the one he had with the actress, or the fashion model.
Yes. Investigators began looking at known or suspected sex offenders. So this is where the connection to Elizabeth Short then gets stronger, because after the Tamar trial, people are like, have you looked into sexual predators? Have you looked into sex offenders? Have you looked at registered people that are not in prison, whatever. And George was a doctor. He had a very disturbing public scandal. There were allegations from Tamar that he might have been connected to the Black Dahlia killing also.
Okay.
So.
And that was then in 1949.
That was in 1949.
Okay.
So during the trial, Tamar reportedly denied, saying her father killed the Black Dahlia, but then years later, she's allegedly said that she did believe he was a murderer. So again, messy, conflicting, exactly, the thing that makes this case impossible to keep clean.
Uh-huh. Wow.
And George was also suspected but never charged of the death of his secretary, Ruth Spaulding. Ruth Spaulding reportedly died of a drug overdose in 1945, which I heard it was later, but we'll get to why I heard it was later.
Okay.
Sources say that they were suspicious of George and Ruth possibly having an affair, and that's why he killed her, if he did kill her. This becomes relevant because George is wiretapped later, and they're tapping him obviously because they're like, damn, what if he is the Black Dahlia killer? And he's wiretapped where he says something about his secretary being dead and maybe he killed her. Again, he was not convicted of killing Ruth Spaulding, so we don't know this as fact, but it matters because not only were they looking at him for Beth, for the Black Dahlia killing, they were looking at him for other things too. And after the Tamar trial, like I said, they put him under surveillance. They wiretapped him. This is one of the strongest reasons why he remains a suspect. And the investigation turned into, he was publicly known for decades for this. So in 2003, that's when Steve started digging and was like, and he saw the George Hodel Black Dahlia file in the archives of the LAPD. And he was like, oh shit. He's like, you right. According to later reports of that file, George's Hollywood residence was electronically bugged by an 18-person district attorney LAPD task force from February 15th to March 27th, 1950. And this was not like one detective saying, let's look into this guy. This was serious enough for them to tap his house for over a month. This is where they get the infamous quote of him saying something to the effect of, supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now. So he's caught saying this.
Eyebrows went up. But...
And then he also allegedly said something about his dead secretary, saying that they can't talk to her because she's dead, which is why I'm saying that I was confused when it said 1950, because I thought that he killed his secretary and framed it as an overdose because she knew about the Black Dahlia and all this shit was unraveling and she was going to spill. So my own perception, I suppose, was off. But anyway, yeah, he's like, maybe I did kill her. Like, excuse me, what the fuck? So obviously he's very suspicious now at this point. So this is one of those moments where like, maybe we should do some further digging.
Perhaps.
But we also have to include the counterpoint that they shouldn't have probably been bugging his house. So maybe he knew he was being bugged and was taunting them back.
Maybe, but why were they? I mean, what do you mean they shouldn't have been?
They didn't have a warrant to tap his house.
Oh, well, I didn't know. You didn't say they didn't have a warrant. You just said they did.
You think that, you think that well, if they did have a warrant, well, obviously, I guess they must have had to have had a warrant, but it wasn't his knowledge. He wasn't like, oh, yeah, I know that they're bugging my house. Maybe I did kill her.
Well, I know, but I swear that's what you just said, because you said they didn't have a warrant and maybe he's taunting them.
Well, I'm sure they actually did, but he didn't know about it.
Okay. So he's not taunting them because he doesn't know.
But I said like maybe he found out and then was taunting them.
Okay. But that's just
he
a
doesn't
Daphne
seem
theory.
stupid.
No.
He's fucking IQ of 186 as a child. Like he's smart. Like he knows something's going on around him.
Just because he's smart doesn't mean he has common sense.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, despite all of this, he was later mentioned on a 1951 suspect list connected to Lieutenant Frank Jemison. And despite all this, LAPD investigators reportedly cleared him, or at least moved on after they couldn't prove that he had ever even met Elizabeth Short.
Oh.
Yeah. So they don't have any confirmed relationship, no confirmed meeting. Like they didn't have a dating history. Like I said, like she was maybe tied to brothels, but like wasn't participating because we know that like she's got an issue with her genitalia, to put it kindly, put it lightly. And so we just know she like probably wasn't his mistress, but that's Steve's theory, but it's not a fact. Some more recent summaries about like this case say that several people who identified George as someone connected to Beth. But again, this is one of those Steve says it things, like not confirmed. After George died in 1999, Steve reportedly found photos among his father's belongings that he believed were of Elizabeth Short. This is also where the fascination begins here, where he's like, who is this person? For a while, right? Till he pulls the archive and then he's like, who is this person? And this has also made him start digging into his father's past. People on the internet don't think it was her, and other people in life don't think it was her, but her relatives are like it was her. So it must be a grainy picture or something.
Okay, we'll have to find it.
Yeah.
That has to exist if people on the internet are commenting.
Yeah. So this evidence is obviously interesting, but it's not clean-cut evidence. Steve also argues that George's handwriting matched or strongly resembled the handwriting on some of the Black Dahlia letters sent to the press.
Okay.
There are claims that handwriting experts saw similarities, but this also is not fact. Steve also points to George's medical training as a clue because Beth's body was bisected. Again, anatomical knowledge, doctor, smart guy, good doctor. But again, investigators looked at all medical students in the area and were like, and this doesn't alone narrow it down to George.
Mm-hmm.
Another Steve Hodel claim involves cement. So he was like, my dad was out buying bags of cement shortly before she died. And there was a bag of cement not far from where her body was found.
Also,
So-
probably a lot of people buying cement. But okay,
Yeah.
so I have a question. Or a comment, whatever. If he's having this house that's full of exes and girlfriends and it's a big old orgy, then why does it matter if he's having an affair with his secretary? Why would he kill her? And then, not that I'm defending him. And then also, if he's having an affair with Elizabeth Short, even though it's not confirmed and there's no real known connection other than the picture that they think is her or the pictures, why does it matter? If he's openly fucking everybody anyway.
I don't know.
Okay.
Because it does for this case.
Okay.
And it does in the sense of that he killed the secretary, perhaps.
Perhaps. Maybe because she wanted him to leave everybody and just be with her or something.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't sound like the exes lived at the house. It just sounds like they were around a lot. That was my interpretation. I just didn't include all the nitty gritty because we would have spent 12 hours here.
Okay.
And we already might. So yeah, this is just one of those like weird pieces of evidence, but like not concrete. And Steve also connected.
No pun intended.
Literally, George to the Black Dahlia Avenger letters, taunting the police. And he's like, maybe my dad did more. So he doesn't believe that he just killed Elizabeth Short. He also is like, I bet my daddy was the Zodiac killer. So he's written several books explaining this theory. After all of the scrutiny in 1950, George left Los Angeles. He moved to Hawaii, which wasn't like a state at the time. And then in 1950, then he married Hortensia Laguda, who was an upper-class Filipino woman. And she later became a congresswoman in the Philippines. George and Hortensia had 4 children, but then they eventually divorced. Yeah, he's got like a lot of kids.
No shit.
They eventually divorced in the 60s, and then he lived primarily in the Philippines for decades. He lived there most of the time between 1950 to 1990. Like I said, he was like in Hawaii for a little bit, but then she was a congresswoman in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved there. Steve later argued that George made repeated trips back to the U.S. and may have committed other murders during those visits, but that's his theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
George eventually returned to California in 1990. He eventually returned to to San Francisco for his final years. He died in May of 1999. After his death, Steve Hodel really starts to dig into his father's life, eventually publishes The Black Dahlia Avenger. His first book came out in 2003, where it's the arguments that he was the killer of Elizabeth Short. His theories got a lot of media attention, obviously, because of his LAPD background, like we talked about. Like, if your son was accusing you that was an LAPD homicide detective of doing this, like, clearly there's some merit to it. He's not just throwing shit around because he can.
Mm-hmm.
That is important because even if, someone doesn't believe Steve, it's like he's not inventing his name out of thin air in terms, like, in relating it to this case.
Right.
Other people are like, yeah, he did it. So some people believe that Steve Hodel solved the case. Others are like, there's too many
unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially if they can't put a clear connection between him and Elizabeth Short.
Right.
But if I don't know.
Right. There's
no
just evidence that they even met.
Right. But he could have just picked her up at a restaurant, or not picked her up, but you know what I mean? Oh, let me buy you dinner and let me buy you a coat, because guys did stuff for her, and then he killed her. So there could be that. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't know. Just weird.
Yeah.
In 2026, author William J. Mann argued against George as the killer, basically saying there's no evidence that they ever met. Beth's movements during that period of time are not relevant to her being a secret mistress.
Mm-hmm.
That theory is really hard to support.
Yeah, I'm that doesn't sound
right. It doesn't sound
like I said,
her.
it could be a chance meeting, but
right.
I feel like
But that's
a mistress
Steve's
theory, right?
Yeah. Which obviously then he's perpetrating the sex worker kind of that she was a whore, like all this stuff theory. Like if she's the secret mistress. But obviously he's like one of the most compelling suspects in the case. Now, the first big Zodiac connection, or the second big Zodiac connection, sorry, not first. Second Zodiac connection is in George Hodel. Again, his son is like, I think my dad was the Zodiac killer. He was here during those time frames of people being killed. Let's figure this out, guys. So he's written a bunch of books, right, about his dad and was like, yeah, my dad is the Zodiac killer. His theory is basically that George was not just a one-time killer, but highly intelligent, medically trained, arrogant, and theatrical.
Okay.
And he's like, he likes taunting people. He likes hiding in plain sight. That's why, thinks he was taunting them with the wiretapping by saying that shit. According to Steve, George left Los Angeles like right after the Black Dahlia name started to be brought up. And then he's returning in the time periods that are like key Zodiac killer time periods and the handwriting. But one of the immediate problems is the geography. Obviously, he was like overseas a lot. So that's not like concrete that maybe he was there during 100% of the times. Like we don't have his plane tickets. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is there evidence to support that he was here?
This guy must like just hate his dad because it's like, my dad killed the Black Dahlia. My dad is the Zodiac killer. Like, I mean, I get it, but like, you're really publicly outing your childhood. So, like, I was raised by the Zodiac killer. Haha. What? I get why people are drawn to the George Hodel theory. He's the most likely suspect, in my opinion, as well, because he feels like a textbook villain. But, I think when Steve says, like, actually, I think he could be the Zodiac, it's like
a stretch.
People are like, oh, yeah, it makes sense, like the way he's framing it. But then it's like, where's the proof? Yeah, there's no official evidence any which way other than just theories. So it's very circumstantial. All of the evidence is extremely circumstantial. And then, like I said, we have Marvin, who's potentially being involved as being the Black Dahlia, or as not as being the Black, yes, as being the Black Dahlia killer, but also being the Zodiac because of his connection to being able to being close to someone who knows how to make ciphers. And he had access to Beth. So neither one's officially proven. So we shall move on. Okay. The next we need to talk about is Leslie Dillon. This is like really theory heavy, kind of like what the hell is even happening here? Like soapy kind of. Like definitely like a series, not like a real life thing. Kind of crazy. Leslie I'd never heard of this one before I started researching it.
Me either.
So he's one of the first immediate suspects after her body was found. He comes into it later around 1949, but like I said, he's like an immediate suspect. The press had already turned Beth into the Black Dahlia legend at this point. Like they're just perpetrating all these false stories, perpetuating all of these false stories.
I was going to correct you. It's fine.
So he was described as a bellhop and a former mortician's assistant. Yeah. He obviously makes everyone's ears perk when you say that.
Yeah.
Your ears just perked, your eyebrows stood. A lot happened. Your shoulders went up. You were engaged again. You were like, okay, Daphne, get out of Zodiac Killer Land. So
did he work at the Biltmore?
I think so.
No.
Maybe. I'll have to go further. There's 33 pages of this. Like, I don't remember all the specs.
Okay. Well, I'm just, because you said it was a bellhop, so.
I remember the overarching. I don't think he worked there, but he worked at a different hotel, which is a different motel, which is where she's suspected to maybe have been killed, but we're going to dive.
Okay.
Let me take you there.
Okay. Take me there.
Okay. So Leslie Dillon is either one of the strongest suspects in this case or a red herring to this case. So he reportedly wrote letters where he blamed the murder on another man named Jeff Connors. So he was not like originally like, hi, it was me. He's like, hey, I know someone who did it. So he's already like in the police's orbit also, which is very like Black Dahlia norm because people are just like not chill. And Jeff Connors is like this figure who becomes a huge part of this Leslie Dillon theory. Some versions treat Jeff Connors like a real man that's connected to Leslie, but police psychiatrist Dr. J. Paul Day-River reportedly started to think that Jeff Connors might not be a real person at all. Yeah, Dr. D-River, I don't know. Anyway, allegedly believed that Jeff Connors could be an alternate personality or an alter ego of Leslie Dillon. Where I said it gets soapy, yeah. There's also another person that comes up in this mess named Jack Sand, which also Leslie was like, oh yeah, he may have killed Beth under the influence of another person named Jack Sand. Oh, sorry. The doctor said that Leslie may have killed someone under the influence of another person named Jack Sand. So the doctor thinks the suspect has a murder alter ego. It's kind of crazy. Like, I didn't know I did it. It was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this case is already crazy just as it is. And then we're entering multiple personality disorder and with this potential suspect. So this doctor is the reason why Leslie became such a big deal. He was connected to the LAPD as a psychiatrist, right? And he was a sex crime expert. But not everyone who's talked about this thinks he handled it well, because they argue that he went way outside of his normal police procedure and basically, like, zeroed in as Leslie as the killer. And so they were like, that's wrong, because he bypassed all the main homicide detectives to investigate him, and he, like, gangster squatted this guy.
Okay.
So we have a parallel investigation happening, right, alongside just the Black Dahlia investigation. Like, he's studying Leslie Dillon. So he looks suspicious, obviously, because he had mortuary experience. He inserted himself in the case through letters. He was like, it was Jeff Connors. And they're like, who the fuck is Jeff Connors? Who are you talking about? And then it's like, oh, it was Jack Sand. Who? And this guy's
Bring these
like,
people to me.
He's like, this guy has multiple personalities. Something is deeply psychologically wrong with this guy. Yeah, again, none of this equals murder, but it could. This is where it becomes really controversial. Author Pugh Eatwell, who wrote The Black Dahlia Red Rose, argues that Leslie Dillon is basically the guy. She's like, Leslie Dillon and Jeff Connors were involved in this murder. Like, this theory then comes back to Mark Hansen. Because she's like, Beth may have known too much about a hotel robbery scheme that got her killed, because she became a threat in knowing about this. And in this version, Leslie, Jeff, Mark, the Astor Motel, and police corruption all become tangled. So this is not just Leslie did it. It's like a whole soap happening here, like I said. The Astor Motel is one of the major pieces of this story, because according to this theory, Beth may have been killed at the Astor Motel. This is where Leslie Dillon worked at as a bellhop. The story is that one of the motel owners was allegedly found in their room in a horrific condition that the morning that Beth's body was found. Okay, because they beat the shit out of him, and then they had to kill Beth.
Okay.
Because they robbed the place. So if this is true, it's obviously a massive clue, right? They're like, oh, she was at the wrong place. Like, it was the wrong place, the wrong time. However, the reports that connect back to the Astor Motel are, like, denied by LAPD, because they're like, what are you guys talking about? This had nothing to do with the case. But they also don't know anything about the case either. Like, nobody knows anything. That's why we're getting, like, really theory heavy. Are you following me?
I am following you. I'm just thinking, if that's the theory, they beat the shit out of one person, they kill somebody else, and then medically bisect her and drain her blood and tuck her intestines up inside of her.
Yeah, but if this guy had multiple personality disorder.
Oh, so one of his personalities has medical knowledge?
Yeah, we just talked about this.
You said he had medical knowledge?
Mortuary experience.
Oh, mortuary experience. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Cool. You were following.
No,
hard.
I was, because you said bellhop and mortuary assistant. And I was like, oh, whoa.
So it's just crazy. This whole case is just crazy. Leslie was eventually arrested in Kansas on unrelated charges. I don't know what he was arrested for. But again, it doesn't mean that he killed her. He was never charged with Elizabeth Short's murder. There's no public physical evidence that it's tying him to Beth's killing. And researcher Larry Harnish strongly disputes the Leslie Dillon theory. He argues that Leslie was thoroughly investigated and that district attorney files placed him in San Francisco when she was killed. So if that's true, then obviously he didn't kill her. He also argues that the Leslie Dillon investigation was mishandled and that he was dragged through messy, improper investigation in terms of the medical psychiatrist that worked for the LAPD that was investigating him, like, gangster style. Leslie later sued the LAPD, and according to Harnish, he received a settlement from the city of Los Angeles. So one perspective, Leslie is not the killer. Another, he is, because he's apparently involved in motel robberies and beating the shit out of people and killing them and all of the above with his multiple personalities.
Okay.
But again, that author, she's like, this is our guy. This is where we need to look. This is where we need to spend our time looking. Like, it was this guy. So I don't know.
Is he alive still?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I wasn't focused very hard on if they were alive or not.
Okay. Well, just like if people are saying, oh, they did it, then can we investigate them?
Yeah.
Not us personally, but
Also, I wrote down that it was connected to Mark, but I'm confused about the connection.
because of the hotel, maybe? He
Maybe the
stayed
motel.
at the motel.
Yeah, the Astor Motel. But anyway, he was never charged. Nothing ever happened. He sued him. He got money back.
He got a refund for being for being a suspect.
Right, basically. But I mean, if he has this multiple personality, because they could never prove who this Jeff Connors person was.
Okay.
So they're like,
Or Jeff Sand.
Jack Sand.
Jack Sand, sorry.
Jack Sand, Jeff Connors. The guy's name is Leslie Dillon.
Okay.
So this is another one this is the other one, the second one that really stands out in my brain as somebody who's worth looking into. I couldn't ever figure out her name. So we have that against us. But apparently she was, when they were investigating the gay bars that she went to and all that, she was somebody who came forward.
Okay.
And like this case is already feral about her sex life.
Mm-hmm.
And then this just kind of adds to it. So that's why I feel a strong pull in this theory because she knew something nobody knew,
Okay.
but also was never taken seriously. So like I said, they were investigating like all the gay bars, like let's find the killer. One of them, a lot of the reasons why they thought that she might have been gay was because of the autopsy, right? Where they were like, oh, there's no way she's having sex with men.
Mm-hmm.
That comment then spiraled into maybe she was gay. And obviously, like, we're talking the 40s, like there's a lot of
Homophobia.
yes, that's the correct word. I was going to say lack of equal rights. So reporters and investigators are looking into the gay bars. They're questioning around this woman who is allegedly either a stripper or just an acquaintance at these lesbian bars, said that she liked to get men worked up and then leave them hanging. And then this woman supposedly told police a detail about her body that had not been released publicly. She was like, okay, so I heard that they cut some of her hair off and inserted it inside of her.
Mm.
And they were like, whoa, how did you know that? Because we left that out.
Yeah.
Because remember, we're talking about some things and we're leaving other things out.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, how did you know that? And this is exactly the kind of thing police care about. So with amongst all the false confessions, they're like, okay, the key question though is like the key question that they left that they posed to her then back about her body, they were like wrong. The answers were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew something that wasn't public knowledge. But then it was like, is she friends with someone at the coroner's office or something? So like, just a lot of loose ends here.
Mm-hmm.
But that one, because they didn't do a ton of investigating around this woman, like her name isn't even out there. I couldn't even figure out her name.
Okay. But
So-
she knows some vital information that nobody else knows that is true.
Yeah, she knows some and the rest of them don't know. But again, honestly, I think like it's just one of those things like that this poor girl could never win,
Yeah.
right? Like she rejects a man and she's a horrible person, or she spends time with him and she's a whore, or she goes to a gay club and she's all of a sudden gay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, just a lot is happening here. It's just so sad. This case makes me sad.
It is sad.
Okay, so we mentioned the big ones, right? Like there's literally like 75 million suspects here.
Mm-hmm.
So we mentioned the big ones, and then I just have some like little notes to get through here of some like lesser known, lesser suspected suspects.
Okay.
Carl Balsiger has been getting more attention recently because of the book Sisters in Death. He knew Beth from Camp Cook and reportedly appeared in the address book. He was interviewed by police several times. Some accounts say that he was evasive and inconsistent. A newer theory is from Eli Frankel that argues that Carl may have killed Beth and connects him to another murder in Kansas City. So this is one of those, newer worth mentioning, but like it's never been solved. It's still not solved. Never charged. Yeah. Then there's Dr. Walter Bailey. Walter Bailey is a medical suspect. He's connected through researcher Larry Heinish's theory. He was a surgeon. The argument is basically built around his medical knowledge and geography and possible connections near the dump site where they disposed of her body. This is important because it brings us back to the same question. Did the killer have medical knowledge? I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say everything we know about this case, the killer has medical knowledge.
Absolutely.
But he was never charged. So, he's part of this bucket of like, these are suspects, but never charged.
No one was ever charged.
No one was ever charged. Next, Dr. Patrick O'Reilly, who was also known as Patrick Traer. He was an orthopedic surgeon in Los Angeles and had connection to Mark's world. Some suspect lists also mention details of a prominent jaw scar that he had surgically removed, and that he had surgically removed part of his own right breast, which people were like, weird, but also doesn't equal proof.
No.
So he was never charged. Another suspect is Norman Chandler, or Bugsy Siegel. Mom's eyebrows just shot up. She cares again.
I've cared.
Norman Chandler was a publisher of the Los Angeles Times, and some theories claim he was connected to Beth, or there was some kind of elite Hollywood media mob cover-up. And Bugsy Siegel gets dragged into this version because once people started saying Hollywood cover-up, of course, the mob appears like a pop-up ad from hell. This theory deepens, but it's based on very big claims, including claims about Beth's private life that are not proven. So I don't think this is serious.
Okay.
Yes, my hand is through the microphone, and that's what you're looking at. Although I think it's interesting. Then there's Orson Welles. Yes, that Orson Welles, as you said. This is also one of those things of timing art, magic film, and the idea that, you know, all these people that are like artsy were a part of her death. But Orson Welles was never an official suspect. It's extremely speculative. Then there's Woody Guthrie. Woody Guthrie was reportedly briefly looked at because of the disturbing letters, but then he was cleared. So then there's George Knowlton. Sorry, my brain is having a hard time saying that one. Knowlton. George Knowlton was accused decades later by his daughter, Janice Knowlton, who claimed through recovered memories that she saw her father kill Beth. This became a book and a whole theory, but it's very controversial. Other family members have pushed back and been like, there's no evidence. You're making shit up in your brain. This didn't happen. Again, this is another my family member did it theory. Jackson Anderson Wilson, also known as Arnold Smith.
Okay. AKA.
Right. Comes up through author John Gilmore's theory, not related to the Gilmore Girls, that he was a petty criminal and an alcoholic. And Gilmore believed he may have known Beth or been connected to the murder, but this is another just drive-by theory. No evidence. There's the Cleveland torso killer. That's also been connected. However, this is the 40s, so we don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just so much to deep dive into here. I mean, like I said, there's 75 billion suspects. There's Bill Robinson, the roommate, who was another loose end.
The cryptologist.
And Joseph Gordon Fickling.
The beater.
The wife beater, yeah. The girlfriend beater. Yeah. They were just a lot. There's just a lot of crazy theories here. And that's all I have. That was all she wrote.
Okay.
I tried to keep it as brief as I could.
You wrote a lot.
I wrote a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy, though. So who's your top, George?
Either George or the lesbian lady.
The lesbian lady did it or has knowledge of it? Had. She's obviously also passed. Because she said, I heard.
No, she knew.
Oh.
She didn't say, I heard that this happened. She was like, oh, yeah, and this happened.
Oh.
Yeah. I said unless she heard it from, like, her friend working at a coroner's office or something.
Huh.
Yeah, unless she had a friend, that worked in the media or that worked. Although, like I said, the media didn't know all the details, though.
Right.
So that's why I'm confused. I like the George Hodel theory, personally.
Yeah.
You too?
Yeah. Yeah, when it all started coming out, that's why I was like, oh, well, has to be. But that Patrick guy also seems like he could be a viable suspect.
Yeah.
Because he knew her, right?
Patrick?
Yeah, he was in the same circles with that Mark guy you said, right?
Oh, his name wasn't Patrick.
The doctor?
Oh, the last one we just very, very briefly skimmed over?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that, was...
He was in Mark's circle.
Dr. Patrick O'Reilly.
He was an orthopedic surgeon.
Yes, but we don't have that much knowledge about him.
Right. Well, because they probably just were like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. Because I feel like,
that's why I said, like,
it was a cold case for
suspects.
It was a cold case for so long, and then all of a sudden.
I was like, wait, Patrick? We've just said so many names. Who? I know I just read this, but who?
No, well, I just zeroed in on the fact that he's an orthopedic surgeon and he was in that circle.
Yeah.
So, but there's so many suspects, as you said, and then there was nobody, like, right at the time that they zeroed in on that really made sense. People that they wanted to make sense, but they couldn't make it make sense. And then this George Hodel thing started happening, but well after he died and well after the investigation has gone super cold.
I know we cleared him.
Who?
Red.
Oh, well.
But my brain still goes back to Red because hear me out.
Because he
He was with her. He dropped her off at the Biltmore.
Right.
He knew she didn't have her stuff. It wasn't like some random mystery that her stuff was off at
and
Union
his wife
Station.
ended up having him committed for psychological issues. And yeah, but he's never been a suspect, right?
No, he was.
Oh.
But
well, he
briefly,
was questioned.
He was questioned.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's still a suspect. He's just, for all intents and purposes, been cleared.
Yeah.
He's been cleared off the list of suspects for the most part. But I still think that there could have been way more investigation done around him.
I think there could be way more investigation done into several of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean,
also,
a little too late.
Joseph Gordon-Fickling.
That's
the
who
boyfriend.
I was thinking, the boyfriend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think little too late.
I know. I hope this episode didn't bore people to death.
I don't think so.
There was just a lot of up and down Hollywood circus happening around here. And I'm like trying to read off my notes and I'm like, I repeated things 86 times because there's 86 different ways to say, is there 86 different ways to say that whoever did this had medical knowledge?
Right.
No. Or
right.
isn't?
Nope. Well, thank you.
Knowledge.
It's not boring. It was good.
This is just a very near and dear case to my heart.
I know,
and I'm not exactly sure why it is, but it is.
All right.
Well, I'm going to try to find those pictures and post them on the Instagram. So
Yeah,
if you want to see them, go to @That'sDisturbingPodcast and you can send us a case request @That'sDisturbingPodcast. We have a couple in the works that we're working on at the moment. Yeah, that's all. We have a Facebook page too. That's Disturbing Podcast. All right. Bye-bye.